In this video, we're taking a look at Scrivener 3, the latest release of the iconic writing software. We're going to cover the newest and coolest features. If you're an existing Scrivener user wanting to know if the upgrade is worth the cash or a new user to the Scrivener ecosystem, this video is for you. This video is brought to you by Be a Writing Machine, the book for writers wanting to know the secrets of writing better, writing faster, and being prolific. It's the exact blueprint I've used to write over 40 books and counting while balancing a full-time job, a family, and law school classes in the evenings. Boost your word counts and write deeper stories today by visiting authorlevelup.com/machine. That's authorlevelup.com/machine. What's up, guys? This is Michael Aran with Author Level Up, giving you the best tools and strategies for writing faster and reaching readers with your stories. Now, in order to write faster and reach readers, you have to have good writing software. That way, you can spend more valuable time writing and marketing to readers instead of battling the limitations of crappy software. I believe having the right tool makes all the difference in your writing career. That's why I use Scrivener, and it's why I was excited when Literature and Latte released the third iteration of the app, Scrivener 3. Scrivener 2 was the go-to writing software for authors for 7 years. The second version of the software launched in 2010 to critical acclaim with many features that became mainstays, but the product cycle lengthened. Competitors such as the writing app Ulysses launched some major innovations in this space, such as a return to minimalist design and a mobile app for writing in the cloud. It took Literature and Latte a while to catch up in 2017 with the launch of Scrivener 3, but when they did, they made up for the long production cycle in a couple of major ways. But before we jump into that, let's talk about what hasn't changed about Scrivener. The binder is still the main mode for organizing your book, and it hasn't changed. The Corkboard feature and index cards are still there in their full glory, and their functionality has actually gotten better. The inspector, an often overlooked but powerful feature, is still here, and it's received a visual overhaul. Automatic backup is still there, behind the scenes protecting your work from errors and unforeseen accidents. Snapshots still let you take photographs of your work so that you can revert back to them at any time. And of course, Compile is still here too. Scrivener 3 just takes the existing platform that made Scrivener 2 so popular and builds upon it. Let's talk about the new features of Scrivener 3. The first is integration with the eagerly anticipated Scrivener iOS mobile app, which offers the ability to write in the cloud. If you haven't seen it, check out my review on the iOS app in the video description and why I think it's the best mobile app for writing on the market. The mobile app technically came before Scrivener 3, but the app was created to be compatible with Scrivener 3 prior to launch. The next change of Scrivener 3 is a complete visual overhaul of the app. Taking a page from more recent Mac app design, Scrivener is more colorful now. The colors are brighter, and the buttons are zippier. Scrivener 3 also supports Mac Touch Bar support if you're into that. Colorful design is a must right now, since Apple devices have moved to Retina displays. In comparison, the old Scrivener was very gray, which didn't age well. The new design, while different, still feels like the Scrivener we've come to know and love. Literature and Latte also made some major changes to search. The top bar in the center of the screen now doubles as a word count meter and a search bar, allowing you to find items faster. The nice part about the search feature is that it searches your entire project instead of just the current document you've selected, which helps you find things faster. It took me a little while to get used to this, but honestly, I like it and don't know how I'd live without it. And of course, if you still need to find something and prefer keyboard shortcuts, you can use Command F or Control F if you're on Windows to bring up a separate search bar for find and replace. Let's talk about layouts. Now, the layouts in Scrivener have also been expanded and give you additional customization in how you want your workspace to look. The new layouts expand the app's unrivaled flexibility. What's great about them is that you can use them or not, depends on your style. The choices are default, 3-pane outline, 3-pane corkboard, editor only, Corkboard only, centered outline, and dual navigation. Now there's a lot of choices here, and you can even create your own custom layout if you want. Whether you use Scrivener's layouts or not, it's nice to know that they're there, as sometimes your needs change depending on your current project. The next feature I want to cover is a major leap forward for multitasking within the app, and that's copyholders. Split screen is arguably one of the most useful features of Scrivener. For example, if you want to write your story in one window while referencing your book's outline in another, you can do that, and you can do it in hot dog or hamburger style. Did I just say hot dog or hamburger style? Vertical or horizontal. With the new copyholders feature, you can add a third or even a fourth split screen window. Seriously, it's crazy. In this example, I have the first 4 chapters of my novel up concurrently, so I can compare them at a glance. Sure, it's a little busy, but I love the fact that I can now customize the editor even further. Whether you choose to use this new copy holder feature or not, it's testament to the new processing power of Scrivener 3 and the new Macs on the market that can handle the processing required for this kind of multitasking. Scrivener 3 also supports text styles, something that has been lacking since day one. The feature works similar to the text styles in Microsoft Word. By itself, it's not too remarkable since you're probably going to override most of your editor settings when you're exporting your book to ebook format anyway, but if you combine it with Compile, it is a little more useful, but more on that later in the video. Scrivener 3 also offers an update to the bookmark feature. If you have a document that you find yourself using a lot, you can drag it into the bookmark icon and it will be there for you the next time you need it. It'll pop up in a quick reference window. This feature, it's not bad. I can see nonfiction authors using this, or authors that have large stories and need a way to quickly jump into character sheets or outlines to help them stay organized. What I would have liked to see is some more cross-file functionality. For example, it would be nice to have a universal bookmark system where I can create bookmarks from other projects and have Scrivener reference them. Scrivener does offer a favorite project feature, and you can access this by going to File, Favorite Projects, but it's just not the same. One of Scrivener's limitations is that you can only see what's in the current project file. If you need to reference something from another book, you have to open the project file for that book. Honestly, I never thought twice about this until I used Ulysses, which has a universal library system. This is hands down my favorite Ulysses feature. While I don't want Scrivener to copy Ulysses, as Ulysses is different in every way, it would be nice to at least see some sort of solution here for this. Let's move to the coolest feature of Scrivener 3, and perhaps the most useful, and that's Linguistic Focus. Think of Linguistic Focus like an X-ray. It analyzes your current document to show your parts of speech in isolation. For example, if I want to analyze how many adverbs I have in my document and where they are, Scrivener will show that to me. It looks a little creepy, but this is really cool and it can help you during editing. Linguistic Focus isn't advertised a whole lot, and I don't know if everyone who uses Scrivener 3 knows about it, but in my opinion, it's one of the best and coolest features of this update. Next up are some modifications to the Corkboard, which make it even more useful. Now you have some more flexibility in how you arrange your Corkboard. You can even use the new threaded Corkboard feature to see your index cards on a timeline. Combine that with labels, and you can see your labels on separate threads. To apply this practically, let's say you have a novel with multiple points of view and you want to track the timeline of each character. Assign a label to each character, and then their arcs will show up on the threaded Corkboard, color-coded and all. I like this a lot. It works well, and it's one of those minor but important features that authors will enjoy using. Literature and Latte has proven that they are masters of attention to detail. To find ways to improve an already excellent Corkboard, it's worth praising them for that. And I would be remiss not to mention the writing history feature, another go-to feature that authors didn't know they needed but will never be able to live without. Scrivener now tracks your daily and monthly word counts, and it's available to you at the click of a button. See how much you wrote today, yesterday, last month, and so on. What's really cool about this is that you can use this data to figure out how fast you write. You can also export it to a spreadsheet if you want to continue tracking your efforts outside of Scrivener. Until Scrivener 3, I was using a spreadsheet to track this information manually. And it was tedious. It's a lot easier now. Now the part of the video that I've been dreading. Let's talk about Compile. Compile is perhaps the most controversial, praised, celebrated, hated, frustrating, liberating, and interesting parts of Scrivener. You ask one person, everybody has a different opinion about Compile. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people fall somewhere in the middle, right? So wherever your opinions fall on Compile, it's hard to argue that it has a learning curve. Scrivener 2's Compile was no exception. It took me hours before I was able to create acceptable ebooks. But when I learned it, it clicked. Now, Compile has changed all over again, and it's been overhauled and built from the ground up, utilizing the new text styles feature to help give you some more flexibility in how you format your book. There are other more subtle ways that you can influence the formatting of your book with this new Compile feature. Personally, and it's just an opinion of one, I don't like it. About the only thing I do like about it is that it looks nicer and it does give you some more options. But I learned to use Scrivener 2's Compile on an advanced level. I used it to format my interactive novels, which are difficult to do. So I know a thing or two about how this Compile works on a deeper than surface level. So sure, it's a little more simplified, but I was just more frustrated at the fact that I had to relearn everything all over again, and it took even longer to get similar results to what I was used to. This version of Compile, while it looks cleaner than Scrivener 2's, just feels more complicated. And again, it's just an opinion of one. Maybe I'm the only person that feels that way, but it's just not my favorite. I figured it out, but I couldn't help but think to myself that I'd rather just skip the hassle and use Vellum for formatting instead of spending 2 hours on learning the new compile feature. I could have exported my manuscript to Vellum, formatted it in less than 10 minutes, clicked one button, and got all the formats I needed. And that's the problem. In a market where writing app formatting is getting simpler and more convenient, this new iteration of Compile is a head scratcher for me. That being said, I still love Scrivener 3, and Compile aside, the new version is a net positive. There are more major features that we won't cover in this video, such as EPUB 3 support, improved Kindle export, custom metadata, and improved Markdown support, among many things. And there are some features that arrive late in Scrivener 2's lifecycle that aren't new, but are still worth mentioning, such as support for Dragon by Nuance Software, and integration with the Scrivener iOS app. If there's one thing that Scrivener has that other apps don't, it's features that are created specifically with writers in mind. That's why it's, in my mind, the Cadillac of writing software, or as I like to affectionately call it, the caviar of writing software. Now that I've given you a rundown of all the major features, are you convinced yet? If you're an existing user, I think that the upgrade is a no-brainer. But if you're new to Scrivener, you're probably still on the fence. You're probably doing or have done hours of research and still can't decide if it's right for you. The program has some major pros, but it also has some cons that I believe authors need to consider when determining if it's right for them. Con number one is that it's overwhelming at first. So many people are familiar with Word, Microsoft Word, and it's hard for them to envision themselves using Scrivener. After all, it has so many features that it's often overwhelming. There is a learning curve to Scrivener, and it's something that I don't think we talk about enough in the writing community, but I believe that the curve is unavoidable and that it's worth it. It's really worth it, guys. There are so many books, resources, and courses, and YouTube videos, and blogs dedicated to Scrivener to help you out, but the struggle is real, right? So if you're the kind of person that doesn't adapt well to change, Scrivener is probably not for you. If you're looking for simplicity and ease of use, you may want to stick with Word or explore Ulysses instead. Con number two, you're trading convenience for flexibility. If you use Word, it's undeniable that Word is easier to use at first than Scrivener. After all, most people are taught how to use Microsoft Word from a young age, right? Divorcing yourself from Word is a hard habit to break. When you switch from Word, you're giving up the convenience and the familiarity of Word for the flexibility of Scrivener. To be fair, Scrivener has a lot of features that most people will never use. Personally, I think that's a benefit. There's something to be said about tools that have features that are nice to have if you ever need them, but some people might not see the value here. If you make purchases based on features and functionality, then Scrivener is an obvious buy for you. If not, you may be better served by looking elsewhere. Con number three, compile. If you're new to Scrivener, you should plan on dedicating some time to understanding the compile feature and mastering it early. I've seen so many people get frustrated with the compile feature that they just abandon the app altogether. The good news is that there are templates and tutorials out there to help you with this. The bad news is that you've got to invest the time in learning it. But think about it like this. You probably had to invest that same amount of time into Word, especially if you learned how to format paperbacks in it, right? Con number four, the cost. This isn't really a con. Scrivener costs $45 US at the time of this video, and in my opinion, that's a steal. But if you're tight on money, that price tag may make you think twice. It depends on what you value. Like I said, if you value features and efficiency, then it's worth the investment. If you value being organized with your writing, it's worth the investment. If you're willing to learn the software, Scrivener will actually make you money in terms of the time and effort you save. Think about it like this. There were 7 years between Scrivener releases, so the $40 that I paid for it back in 2010 equates to around $5 a year. Pretty affordable if you think about it like that. I've been using Scrivener since 2010. When I bought it, I was in college with a job that paid very little. I had student loans, car payment, all kinds of other things that justified me not spending money on Scrivener. I had to sell things that I owned in order to buy it. And I can honestly and safely tell you with 100% truth and no BS that Scrivener was the most important thing that I ever bought in those early days of my writing career. At the time of this video, I've written 37 out of 40 books with it. I've been able to become prolific because Scrivener's features allowed me to get out of my own way and just focus on the writing. But I understand that cost can be a barrier for some people, so that's a decision that you've got to make on your own, but I can tell you that the money is well spent. Let's talk about some features I wish Scrivener had, and I feel that these features would take Scrivener to the next level and jump it further ahead of its competitors. Some of these may not be possible. I'm just thinking out loud here, but here's to hoping, right? One is one-click publishing to WordPress and Medium. I do all of my writing in Scrivener, and it would be nice to be able to publish documents to WordPress and have WordPress match the formatting styles. Its competitor Ulysses already does this. Two is simplified compile. As is, even the most current compile feature is not enough to help Scrivener stay relevant when it comes to book formatting. Which brings me to number three, integration with Vellum. I think we have to be honest here and declare that Vellum has won the ebook formatting game, at least on Macs. I would love to see some sort of integration with Vellum. So, for example, you can click to push your file to Vellum. Vellum reads your Scrivener file and sets up your book according to some basic parameters that you dictate. If you make a change in Vellum, it changes it in Scrivener and vice versa. Again, I don't know if it's possible, but it would be really nice. Four is multiple format export. One of my biggest frustrations with Compile in Scrivener 2 and Scrivener 3 is that you can't export multiple formats at the same time. You're going to have to create at least three formats for your book, right? Kindle, EPUB, and PDF, so you're going to have to compile three different times. I can't tell you how many times I've compiled three formats only to find out that I did something wrong, and then I have to do it all over again. What I'd like to see is a feature where you can choose what format you want to export. This way, Scrivener can compile all of them at the same time. Also, I don't know if it's possible, right? But background compile would be nice, as you have to stop using the app and wait for it to finish compiling your book before you can use it again. It's minor, but if you have a large book, you'll spend a noticeable amount of time waiting for it to compile. Background compile would be nice. 5 is better support for collaboration and working with other authors. Collaboration is the future. To date, there still isn't an easy way to co-write another book with another author in Scrivener, or in any other app, to be honest with you. It's just not collaboration friendly yet. 6 is being editor friendly. There still isn't an easy answer on how to work with an editor in Scrivener. Most people will export their book back to Word. The editor will edit the book in Word. The author will track the changes in Word and then re-upload them to Scrivener. By the time you're done, man, there's all kinds of issues that can go wrong. So the process is pretty clunky and redundant, and it introduces the potential for formatting errors, because if you have to trade your book back and forth between the two programs, between two people, there's all kinds of things that can happen. I feel that there's an opportunity here to make the process easier on both writers and editors. By the way, can we also have track changes with Scrivener, please? Please? Again, I don't know how it's possible if you would even do that, but I know that this is a pain point for a lot of authors, and a lot of people have been feeling it since Scrivener entered the market. 7 is more functionality with the Scrivener iOS app. The first iteration of the mobile app was excellent, and I'd like to see it get more powerful and include more functionality from the mothership desktop app, such as the Corkboard and writing history features, for example. Number 8 is an Android version of Scrivener Mobile. Scrivener is available on Windows and Mac, but to use the mobile app, you have to have an iPhone or an iPad. If you don't like iPhones or iPads, you're out of luck. So those are the features I'd like to see when Scrivener 4 rolls out. Scrivener 3 was a step in the right direction, but there's a lot more work that can be done. Since Scrivener 3 is so new, it's hard to know what Literature and Latte is working on for the next iteration, but I think it's safe to say that the writing app landscape has changed dramatically from 2010 when Scrivener 2 launched. Back in 2010, there weren't many choices. Word, OpenOffice, Scrivener, YWriter, and that was about it. Now, fast forward to 2018, and you've got some healthy competition. There's Scrivener, but there's also Ulysses, YWriter, Storyist, and StoryShop. Writers are also using programs like Evernote, Microsoft OneNote, and Google Docs to write their novels in the cloud. You don't have to go very far outside of Scrivener to see some incredible innovation in this space, particularly if you look at Ulysses and StoryShop. Right now, Scrivener's competitors are dealing with some issues that are holding them back. Ulysses, for example, is also only available on Apple. The app creators recently introduced a subscription-based pricing model, which angered and alienated a lot of people. But that's not an insurmountable issue if they keep iterating and adding value to the product. And let me go on a tangent for a second and say that it's not inconceivable that Scrivener would move to a subscription-based model at some point. People are upset with the creators of Ulysses, right? But I believe that all apps eventually, in the future, are moving in the direction of subscriptions, whether we like that or not. StoryShop has been well received, and while it's not perfect, I think it's proving that there's a demand for web-based writing. I don't think that writers will choose web-based writing as the primary way of writing, but I do believe that they're going to want that flexibility if they ever needed it. Like I said, Scrivener's competitors are dealing with some issues that are holding them back, but none of these issues are impossible to overcome, so Scrivener will have to iterate better and faster if it wants to keep its place at the top. All criticisms aside, I still wholeheartedly endorse Scrivener as the premier writing app, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. This is the best writing app, period, and all criticisms I make of the program are one, in the interest of making it better, and two, to help people who potentially won't like it be able to make an informed decision about whether it's for them. But you will not find a better companion to help you on your writing journey if you're prepared to learn its quirks and how to use it. If you're ready to give Scrivener a try, then check the links in the video description to grab your copy of Scrivener for Mac or Scrivener for Windows. This is an affiliate link, and I do receive a small commission if you purchase through these links, so if you found this video helpful, do me a favor and help a brother out, will you? If you're looking for the ultimate Scrivener resource and step-by-step explanations of all the features, you can do no better than Joseph Michael's Learn Scrivener Fast course. I purchased it a few years ago and I was blown away by the high-quality audio and videos. It helped me out a lot, and it's good stuff. I only recommend products on this channel that I myself have used, and Learn Scrivener Fast is worth the money. So if you want to get up and running on Scrivener quickly, link is in the video description. So grab your copy of Scrivener today, and you'll find that you can write better, write faster, and it'll save you an incredible amount of time. And if you want more Scrivener content like this, check out the rest of my Scrivener Essentials video series. And if this is your first time watching, I'd love to have you subscribe. Every week I publish videos just like this one to help you write better and faster and find readers with your work. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.